Hello and welcome to my channel. This is another time-lapse video. This is of Gary Davis, who plays Captain Jason Broussaeu from the Dreadnought Dominion series. And this is the original reference photo I was given, and I don't normally show these, but I thought it was important to talk a little bit about lighting. And this, I think, was a photo taken from a set that I pulled into Photoshop. I removed the background just to make it a sort of abstract dark shape that will be easier to paint. And I want to talk about how even the lighting is across Gary's face. This is something that presents a little bit of a unique challenge for me and for a lot of artists. I usually like to have a stronger value structure in terms of shadow shapes that are not here. What I would normally use, I would squint and look back and forth between what I'm painting and my reference to get a sense of where those larger shadow shapes and light shapes need to be to achieve a sense of realism. And because I didn't have those strong shadow features in this reference photo, I had to get a little bit creative, and I thought for a minute I might try doing a sort of monochrome underpainting, then adding color on top. But since it's not my normal workflow, I didn't want Gary to turn into a science experiment. This is what it would look like if I were squinting. This is just a blur filter on the photograph, and you can see there's really just one uniform value structure here with a little bit of shadow around the edges and where the features go. So it wouldn't be as useful for me to do this sort of squint and flick my eyes kind of trick I normally use. So I had to get a little bit creative. I decided to really sort of push the value and the chroma and then pull back into lighter values and less chroma. I did a little bit of changing of some temperatures as well, you'll see as we start getting going. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about how when I approach drawing and really the whole painting, it's a little bit looser than I had done in the past. Here you see I'm working on a toned canvas and I'm painting with a brush to get my drawing marks in, but they're very loose. I'm really just sort of guessing where some of these marks should go, and I'm making them in the wrong spot, and those wrong marks are super helpful. I think a lot of people who are just learning to draw or learning to paint or who don't yet paint or draw don't fully realize that making those wrong marks are very valuable for finding the right marks. I'm using my brush. You can't see, but I'm sort of standing back and using my brush to measure how high they should be, what angle they should be, and I'm coming back in and I'm wiping some away with my towel and putting in some additional marks. I'm darkening some of the marks so I remember which ones are the right ones. Getting these features put in, but very loosely. I'm not doing a detailed drawing at all. And you see here I'm just sort of finishing up the head and making some final adjustments to some of these angles and some of the placement of things like the ears and the lips, just to get a little more accuracy, and to remind myself where this stuff all goes. And I did put some Riley rhythms in again that just helps me understand the structure before I start working in masses, because these lines are not really going to be the way I achieve a likeness. So I'm going to do that using these larger masses. And the details that I'm leaving out aren't really what helps us achieve a likeness anyway. There's no likeness to be found in, let's say, eyelashes or pores of your skin. And this is the final drawing. It's very loose, you can see. And a lot of these marks are going to go away as soon as I start painting. And again, I forgot to turn the camera on when I was doing my background, but that's not very interesting anyway. It's just thinned out black paint with a little bit of purple in there, which doesn't really show up well on the camera here, but you can see it in the actual painting once it's done. And I'm starting with some shadow shapes because they're the easiest things to sort of use as anchors for the rest of this, but then I'm really painting in really large masses. And again, the chrome is pushed a little too hot and the values are a little too dark, and then I come back and I pull those back. I pull the values back, I pull the chroma back, and this is just me finding a creative way to try to achieve this likeness, because my normal approach with this reference photo is just a little bit of a challenge for me. It's something I need to get better at. And, I'm just sort of covering the whole face before I start making other tweaks to it, but I will make some adjustments to things like the nose and the eyebrows and some final highlights. Here you see me putting a little bit of work into the ears, and then I'm restructuring those ears by coming back in with the background. working on these lips and getting the mouth to look right. And I really wanted to try to capture Gary's expression because I've never met Gary and we haven't spoken, but it seems to me that in this still, he's got a little bit of a look of mischief about him that I really wanted to try and capture to get that likeness down. So I hopefully got that. Here I'm just putting in the hair, and I'm not doing a lot with this hair. I don't really paint individual hairs. As I said, those kinds of details don't really help achieve the likeness anyway. It's really going to be in the expression of the mouth and the nose and the eyes. Filling in the clothing here, it was a little bit of a challenge to try to get the uniform correct. So I wound up painting in a large shadow mass and then darkened some of that and lightened some of that. And you see me here putting in some of the final highlights to finish this off. And when you see the final painting, hopefully you'll see that I did capture some of that mischievous expression in Gary's face. I'm just putting in some final details here along the eyes. And this is the final painting. And the background has a little more purple in it in real life, but that's Gary. That's the likeness I got out of it, and hopefully he likes it. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel and set your notifications accordingly. I'll be doing some additional portraits in my continuing series of captains of fan fiction films. And I guess this again is Gary Davis, who plays Captain Jason Broussaeu. My internet website is robertosuzuki.art. I can be found on Instagram at robertosuzukiart and on Facebook at facebook.com/robertosuzukiart. Thank you.